That introduced my guest, Neil Hannon, Love Don't Roam. Why does that introduce you? Do you know?
It was a Doctor Who song in something. I'm supposed to know this. We've come on very
Somebody should.
Well, it's your era, mate. So really,
anybody?
It's from
the first Christmas special.
The first Christmas special.
So it's you.
Exactly.
That was you.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So basically, my guests are Russell D. Davies and Stephen Moffat, who both kind of show run and wrote lots of the new version of Doctor Who.
What to blame?
You, Russell first, and then you. Was there a handover? Do you?
well, I did. I used to write for Russell's show. So yeah, there was. We went for a lunch.
Yes, a lunch in Soho. That was it.
Yeah, that was
I said good luck.
Yeah.
And handed it over.
And what about when you finished? Was there a handover there?
We kept meaning to have a proper dinner, but then immediately Chris was incredibly busy. So the very last time I left the studio's Rothlock, I walked past a meeting room and I saw Chris sitting in the middle of the horseshoe of people who were staring at him in hope. And I saw the look on his face and I thought, he's sitting in my terrifying chair. I'll go and hug him. I'll go and hug him goodbye. Then I got into the back of a car and played lots of Murray Gold music on my head. It was brilliant.
It was like the end of an EastEnders. Yeah,
yes, it was great.
The back of a cab. Yeah. Off you go.
Happier though, happier.
Sad too.
Yes, of course.
So now you're here because Targa Books, who have always done these novelizations.
They did the novelizations back in the old days of Tom Baker and John Pertwee, and before DVDs, there were paperbacks. We had novelizations of TV stories.
Because we were saying that this was the way that the fans could cut. Like it was like watching your favorite episode again. You had the novelization.
Absolutely. I mean, those were precious. The television show just disappeared like smoke up the chimney. You didn't have any permanent record of it, so you had to go and buy the book. And the book was slightly different, so it changed it.
And also, I think because young people now, it seems to me, are really embracing books again in a way that they haven't for a while.
I hope so. It's you know, you meet a lot of fans who first took their first Doctor Who book out the library, and if that can happen again, if you can get kids sitting down and reading this again, and you get something new, there's stuff in the books that wasn't on screen. People get backstories. We thought of some extra gags. We thought of some terrible gags, and it's a bit more violent in places if that excites you. So it's nice.
I think what Russell is saying is, please buy our book.
Please. But there's 5 in this new edition.
Yeah.
2 are by you guys. Now, presumably these novelizations were going to happen whether you wrote them or not.
Yes.
So, so how tempted were you to go, lovely, have my story?
Yes, we'd got paid anyway. So there is that. It was a nice, because I grew up, Stephen grew up as well, reading these. So it was a really nice, nostalgic thing to do. And we mean it when we say we want people to read it. We're very proud of them. So, yeah, it was a nice chance to...
It was irresistible, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
We had to do it.
You say irresistible. You only did one of your... There's another one. Paul Cornell did...
It was semi-irresistible.
I like life.
It was quite irresistible at the beginning.
Yes. Once you're 10 pages in, you realise it's resistible.
I'm resisting now.
Aren't books long? And what did you do? Did you sit down and watch the show again?
I didn't actually. I meant to and never actually did. I got an old script and I got the original script and then I got the transmitted script. There's a difference between the two. And then kind of improvised. I got slightly bored. So I kind of, it's a story I wrote 13 years ago. So I kind of wanted to make it a bit new and fresh. So
the truth of that is what happened was I emailed Russell and said, how's the book going? He said, I can't find the script. So I found him a transcript online and sent it to him. So it's that good.
Because obviously you're both writers. Have you written a novel before?
No, this is my very, very first one.
Are you?
I did a Doctor Who novel when it was off air many years ago. Yes, it's hard work. I still don't know to this day the difference between that and which. He walked into the room that was hot, or he walked into the room which was hot. What's the difference? When do you use which? When do you use that? I don't know.
There's no difference. There's no
difference. Someone will write a letter saying, pointing at the difference.
Yeah, no, they will. In a minute, a huge alert will appear.
For the rest of my life.
Yeah, text alert. And have you read the others? I mean, are you...
I have actually, yes.
Yes, I've been reading them. Yeah.
Yes, honestly.
No.
You open up a page.
Feel free not to.
Well, the very first thing I did was I finished my book and I was really, really actually quite pleased with it. Then I read Russell's and got immediately depressed.
No.
Because it was so much better.
And vice versa. I read yours going, I wish I'd done that. Truly.
Because I was reading Rose and and this is how stupid I am. So I was reading it, and you know what I'm going to say.
Yes.
And I read that bit. Didn't twig.
All right.
Did not twig. I was like, all right. And then someone tweeted me to say, "Oh, you're in Russell's book."
In the book, because what happened, faithful listeners, is that on the night of transmission of Rose, the episode was preceded by Graham's, what was your show? Dance
It was
Academy?
Strictly Dance Fever.
Strictly Dance Fever, how could I forget? Dance. And as the episode of Doctor Who went out and Billy Piper walked into a spooky corridor
Basement,
full
yeah.
of monsters, someone in the BBC pressed the wrong button and Graham Norton's voice backstage on Strictly Dance Fever, you could have been swearing. It was very lucky.
No, it was very
that you were chatting away, going, oh, then we do this, then we do that, in the middle of the episode.
Just as the Doctor was about to appear.
Yes, it was. And, oh, seriously, as the maker of that show, it was terrifying because you sat at home going, the whole thing is ruined, and we spent the rest of the episode waiting for you to crop up again.
And I don't mean to get on your case, but it's only one of 2 times you've done that.
Yes.
Because there was we had this brilliant cliffhanger to episode 4 of series 5, and it was Matt Smith's first big badass moment as the Doctor. It was really exciting, and a cartoon, Graham Norton, ran across the bottom of the screen and advertised his thudding show.
None of this was my fault.
No, I don't know where you get blamed for this.
None of this
You are
was my
powerless.
fault. Yes. Also, it's a nice way to say that I have appeared in Doctor Who, but
You should get fees.
But I've never had to go to Cardiff, so I'm laughing. Should we take a break for some music? Let's take a break for some music. This is from Murray Gold's score for The Day of the Doctor. So this is the BBC National Orchestra of Wales, conducted by Ben Foster with Doctor Who. Hey, there we go. It was short, sweet, but lovely. Composed by Murray Gold and Ron Grainer, featured in Doctor Who, and my guests are 2 of that series' most prolific writers and showrunners. And Doctor Who Rose by Russell T Davies and Doctor Who The Day of the Doctor by Stephen Moffat are out now, published by Target Books, along with 3 other titles. So, are you done now?
That's me done. I mean, this was devised as a one-off. If they sell, I suppose they might do more, but I think that's me done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
How much longer can I flog that old career?
Scratch it.
Move on.
I've been leaving Doctor Who for around 3 years.
Yes. It's not over.
And because we know now, Russell, you've got the new thing.
A Very English Scandal, which
Yes.
is the Jeremy Thorpe story.
That starts soon, doesn't it?
It's on. I'm not supposed to say when, but it's on in May, middle of May, on Sunday nights. Hooray.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes, very exciting. I'm very pleased with it. Yes.
Are you really pleased with it?
Hugh Grant as Jeremy Thorpe, Ben Whishaw as Norman Scott. It's a lovely, lovely piece of work. Very proud of it.
And Doctor Who no more. Now, Sherlock sort of no more.
No, it's not. It'll come back at some point.
At some point, but that's not buying you milk between now and then.
Well, I've got these novelisations, mate. I mean, that's the way it's going on.
That's one
I'm doing Dracula, a very Transylvanian scandal, and it's we just started working on that. So.
Oh, okay. Like for telly or movie or?
For telly, like 390s, with me and Mark Gatiss are doing it, just like we do Sherlock.
Oh, fantastic. So is that the idea, to reinvent Dracula in a Sherlock-y way?
In a Sherlock way, but not in exactly the same way, I have to say.
Okay,
We're not modernising it or anything, but we are doing a version of Dracula here.
That's exciting.
I'll watch that.
Wow. Oh, Digital Spy. Go on then.
Yeah.
Right. I've
RadioTimes.com.
I've got
15 different articles in that sentence alone.
They really will. Yeah. All the details we know so far. Everything we know so far. It's not modern. Margaret is doing it. Is Margaret darker? We don't know. People have been in touch. Here we go. Stu from Brighton says to Russell, you seldom go back to things, but which of your non-Who projects would you like to revisit one day?
Oh, that's interesting. I suppose I'll always write queer as folk type things. I'll always go back to the gays. I did queer as folk, then I did another series called Cucumber, which died of death, so I'll just keep going and do something until it works again. But the lives of the gays in the modern day, I like writing.
How much does that kind of hurt you personally when you put that much, effort and time and just blood, sweat and tears into something, and then it doesn't connect with an audience for whatever reason?
Yes, it's horrible. Yes, absolutely. And it's not as much hard work as successes. Doctor Who was the hardest work ever. Success is hard work.
Yeah.
I mean, with a failure, you kind of walk away going, well, I was right. And
A failure. You walked away with a BAFTA. I mean, that's not too bad.
It's true, it didn't fail that bad.
No, but also it's that thing, isn't it? Because no one said it was bad. It just never found its
doesn't
audience.
connect. Yes, that's that. And then you think, how old am I? How do I live my life? Who do I connect with? But all you can do is go on and write the next thing.
Jane in York longs to know, Stephen. Longs. She can't wait to hear the answer to this question. How much of an impact did Press Gang have on your career, and how do you look back at the series?
Oh, I mean, all the impact in the world. It was what got me into television. I worked on it for 5 years. I loved that show. I absolutely adored it.
How did it happen? What had you been doing before?
I was a school teacher. Well, it's quite a long story, but my dad's school was visited by Highway. Do you remember that show, Highway, where Harry Seacombe wobbled and sang at children? And he mentioned he had a good idea for a kids' show, which he didn't really. It was an education kit he was working on, and he said, "But my son would like to write it." And the producer of who would one day be the producer of Press Gang said, "We will look at your son's script, but under no circumstances will we use it." But I wrote a script, and they really liked it. And so I became a television writer. So I loved it. That's amazing.
That's fantastic, isn't it? Yeah. So, I mean, I always think, having people like you on, there's so many people listening who, have, piles of paper in drawers and thinking, what am I going to do with that?
And so many people listening who are seething now, hearing that story. Absolutely furious.
I am so sorry.
Typical. Highway came to his school. James from Newcastle is asking you, Russell, what did you think of Love, Simon, which is a new movie?
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yes. What time we're having for gay films. Thank you, James.
Is that out now?
It's out, yes, I think. Or, I didn't go see a special screening or anything. Yes, it's a young teen gay romance. It's amazing. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
It's gorgeous. It really is. It's one of those old, soppy, sappy, lovely high school teen romances, but with gay boys at the heart of it. And it's so straightforward and yet so radical at the same time. It's lovely. It's got a really, really good heart. It's a properly good film.
I might have to leave my house and see that.
Yeah.
Sophie from Leicester. Sorry, Stephen, but Sherlock, more please, soon please. What can you tell us about future plans for the show, or is that it?
We all love our show. We'd love to come back and do it someday. We're not doing it right now. I have done nothing except Doctor Who and Sherlock for around 10 years. So I've got to be allowed to do something else. For instance, a novelisation of Doctor Who. That was a marvellous piece of variety there,
That was
wasn't
a
it?
nice break. Yeah. Well, the formatting on the page, so different.
I think Benedict's very keen to play it again. Look, at some point it'll come back.
Tom from Bilston wants to know from both of you, which classic monster would you like to see back in the show one day? For me, it will be the maggots from the Green Death. That story is still so relevant today.
Yeah, so the maggots from the Green Death wouldn't do much, though, would they? They just kind of
maggots.
lay there being maggots. It's a bit hard to bring back. I bring back the croutons, because they were crystalline monsters. And if you think what you could do with CGI now, but something made out of crystals.
They were called the croutons?
The croutons.
Silly, Graham.
And also you can dip them in your soup.
Yeah. I would bring back the Wirren.
Croutons!
The soup's too warm.
Oh, they're scratching the inside of my mouth.
See, it writes itself.
Sorry, Stephen, which one? I
would bring back the Wirren from the Ark in Space, because they're giant insects, but the old show wasn't really able to do them brilliantly. It's a fantastic story, but the special effects weren't fantastic at that point. I think they would make a brilliant monster now. Chris, by the way.
Yeah. And that is that weird thing, because, it's no longer your baby, but presumably it is still your baby. Or no, do you just walk away?
Well, we've loved it all our lives. We're proper fans, so actually we go back to being a fan now. I've got no idea what's happening next year. Very exciting, and can't wait. I'll sit and watch it like a viewer.
From behind the sofa, the way you're meant to.
Yeah. But you don't, you don't get emails, you don't get calls, there's no kind of,
Nothing, Graham,
have you heard what's happening?
No.
Not almost. No. It would be like you emailing Jimmy
People just say things like, it's going really, really well.
Yeah.
And that's great, and we're really pleased about that. It's like hearing your ex-girlfriend is really, really happy and having a fantastic time.
Also, you kind of know it isn't.
Yeah. Because you know the show.
Exactly.
And there hasn't been a day in Doctor Who's history where it was going well.
When that snow came along, I was laughing. I laughed at their schedule then. Good
luck. Quickly writing it in.
Oh, yes.
Freak of weather conditions, said the Doctor.
This is a good question. So, obviously Doctor Who did it. Will and Grace has done it. Roseanne has just done it. What other series would you like to bring back? Hannah in Rochester. Dracula, obviously.
When the boat comes in.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I just made that up on the spot.
Yes.
I really got no interest in that coming back
I only
whatsoever.
remember the title sequence.
The song. Thou
yeah.
shalt have a fishy on a little dishy. So there we go. Anything you can remember the songs to has got to be a good show.
Columbo. I loved Columbo.
Yeah.
I know you have to get a different Columbo, but
Duchess of Duke Street. Did they bring that back? Did they bring that? No, they didn't.
No. That's sitting there. That's good.
Duchess of Duke Street, lovely. Lovely.
Jones, gorgeous.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Sunday nights.
Proper acting.
Yeah, that'd be nice. After a very British scandal.
They could
Yeah,
pop on that.
very
Thank you
much.
very much. Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
yes.
No, and I don't need to be in it or anything. Just pay me.
Oh, you'll be in it at some point.
Coming next.
Try and stop me. Yeah. And I said to him, one last question. River Song's been visiting the classic series Doctors in Big Finish, but none of these Doctors know who she is. To keep in line with 2008 Silence in the Library, do you think they should just be done with the continuity and rewrite time so they know who she is? This is from Andy Backhouse in Richmond, and those could have been animal sounds I was
Niche question.
That is a very niche one to end on. I mean, because Doctor Who's continuity, Andy, up until this point, has been so impeccable and consistent, to make some kind of change or mistake, it would be... the whole edifice would come crumbling down. How could you say such a thing?
Thank you very much for coming in. The novelizations are published by Target. One's by Russell, one's by Stephen, and there's 3 others as well. They're all out now. Thank you very much.
Please buy them.